Hello, guys. Welcome to the podcast Knowledge Empowers. Here today with you is me, aka Kat, 안녕하세요. Then we have Kolaj,
Dobre rano.
and we have Parush.
Hello.
And today's topic is going to be virtual onboarding. And as we are now all in lockdown and on home office, now it's 1 year and a month. Like, how is it going, right? What are the experiences of doing an interview? And then once you onboard the person, how people spend the time with the person, but also how the person feels because of being remote, right? Never have seen the people in real life, never have seen the office, how that could be. So, College, do you want to start?
I don't. I have no clue
Yeah.
how to answer this. Like I guess so. When looking from the perspective what you just mentioned, like you have a new team member, and usually when I entered the office or when I was hired by a company, you go to the office, you see your colleagues, you go for lunch, you can observe them in their natural habitat, I would say, like an animal.
I feel like being in a zoo.
Yeah, sort of. Or a kindergarten, depends on the maturity of the people. And you see that how they behave, their nonverbal cues, the language they speak, how they interact between each other, and you spend approximately 8 days with 8 hours with them, like in the work office. But then this period came, and when I imagine that there is somebody new, and the only thing you do is this is your work, you need to fill out this spreadsheet, and that's it, and you don't know anybody in your team. You are probably maybe just chatting with them because you need help. But I can't imagine the relationship or like your confidence that you are trusted actually partner in this, that you are on this endeavor with the team and you want to achieve something together.
I can tell you right now, I'm helping a colleague of mine with interviews. And then I can tell you, because we onboarded in our team 3 new people. So how we are doing it, and we are global team. So it doesn't matter whether I am in a lockdown or not lockdown, I'll never will see my colleagues. But I can tell you from the point of view being a new in the team. So doing the interviews, we are just doing them online through Zoom. So of course you have camera on, right? And it's still about creating a good atmosphere so that person on the other side of the monitor really feel relaxed and literally can have a good chit chat with you and shouldn't feel stressed or exhausted. And when I'm doing this with Zuzka, we keep receiving the feedback that this was the best interview I've ever had. I felt like talking to friends. And that's what the interview should be about, because you are creating the brand of how that person, if they would join the team, what is the atmosphere of the team, what's the culture of the team, and whether they can then find out whether they would fit right in it. So, and if you feel comfy, you reveal more of your success stories that you are proud of, etc. So the interviews are really going this way. It's just I will maybe go a little bit aside as we are doing interviews worldwide. So I meet people from, or not from, but that live in Ireland, India, Slovakia, America. And I have a good overview of how people from those different countries are actually prepared for the interview. And you can see that in the countries where there is only little positions open and there aren't as many companies that you can have, let's say, successful career in IT company or something like this, they really come very well prepared for the interview, and they really want to thrive in that company. Compared to, if I compare it with Slovakia, and we have lots of young people coming on an interview, and they just go like, nah, if you don't take me, I'll go somewhere else for an interview. And they are unprepared, but they are forgetting one very important information, or one very important thing, which is companies not necessarily need to hire in that particular country. So me being a manager, I'm picking the skilled person. It's not about the country. So not only I have a competence is the word, competence
Yep.
In Slovakia, but actually having competition. Thank you. Not only I have competition in Slovakia, but actually I have a competition around the globe. And so my suggestion to anyone, wherever you are in the world, especially if you're in Slovakia, always come prepared for an interview. That's your one time only to show who you are, what are your capabilities. So that's one suggestion.
Now that you're talking about the interviews and before and after, like now in the virtual world, does it take more time for you to analyze if the person is suitable for the job, or less time, or the same amount of time?
Same. For me, same. Because we prepare also test cases if I want to find out a very specific skill set. Back in our previous company where I worked, I went through a training for how to do interviews. It took a couple of days, and that's where you've learned like how you create the competencies, then how you prepare the questions based on the competencies, etc. It's like it's a whole mystery behind how to do interviews. Not to mention, if we have any recruiters onboarded or managers or anyone who is not doing very often the interviews, please stop using forbidden questions. And the forbidden questions are, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You will never get any valued answer out of that. So please stop asking this question.
Maybe you're just probing for what's the imagination of a person, so.
Imagination. Okay.
Creativity, right?
Okay, that's an appropriate question if you are applying, if you are hiring for an acting role, but we are in an IT company, so no acting necessarily. And then once the person is onboarded, so let me tell you what we do in my team. And we are a global team, so I so far was lucky just to see most of my team once when we were in Austin 2 years ago. And then I've seen my manager 3 times, yay! And a few of my colleagues when we traveled to Ireland twice. So I was really lucky. So the way what we do every time when we have a new person, like right now, for example, I took on my shoulders that I will always take them through of sets of trainings. One is, of course, introduction. Second is we have one specific website where we collect all our processes, etc. And I take them through every detail just so they know that in case no one would be online, they are still be able to perform independently, just that they go on that page, and so they are able to find the information. Then we have Zoom training, so I make sure that all of their Zoom is set properly, etc. And I just now mentioned the working part, right? Of course, each and every one of us in our team, when you are new, you're assigned a buddy. So someone that you work with, and that person will then train you minimum for the 3 months, like so you don't feel there. And again, that's a working part. But how do we create that we are a team, that we are like a family? So we use actually a number of things. One is we have a WhatsApp group and a WeChat group, because we have APJ team and we have Western team. So we have a WeChat group and then we have WhatsApp group, and we literally share like, I went hiking, this is what my puppy does. And then a colleague in Israel, she was on 1 week vacation and she shared these beautiful pictures with us. Then a colleague from Bangalore was on 1 week vacation, and she says, this is what we call in India, little Switzerland. And she sent pictures, and I literally thought that she's in Austria, in Alps. I'm like, I thought you cannot travel. And she was like, I'm in India. I'm like, huh? But really, I literally thought that she's in Alps. So, and every time we have a newcomer, I ask them, are you okay to share your phone number with the rest of us? And I'll put you in the group. And that's just sort of what brings us together as well. And we just share these sort of fun facts around. And like my manager always say, Kat, every time I see this picture, I just feel like, as I cannot travel, I feel like I can travel. Just seeing the pictures and the beauty around the world. So the hard part is, this is what requires more energy. Because if you're in office, all you do is you just turn around, and I'm just, those see me on video, I just turn around and you speak with that person, which is super easy. But virtually, you need to think about it. Like, hold on, I have a colleague somewhere in Shanghai. I haven't spoke to him, her for a longer time. Let me ping that person and chat with that person. Or hold on, I have a person in Santa Clara, 10 hours difference. Just anyone who is curious, I need to write her. We are also connected through Facebook, through social media. And again, this is a tricky part, because there are people who don't want to share their private stuff. And they will never, they don't want to be on a level with their colleague, like, hey, I'll connect with you through my social media, etc. And you just need to respect that, right? So where it is. And actually, ever since COVID, our team actually got stronger, because the first months we spent tons of time on calls. And we have, for example, it's called like a development club, and every month we meet for an hour, and we talk about either something what we've learned the last time, just to share with the others, or then we can pick on the, like, but have you ever thought of, like, we can deep dive into what they've learned, and then they share it with us and what we understood. So that's one thing. Another thing is what my manager created. Every quarter we do celebration. Celebration means that we have hour and a half block calendar, and what she does, she invites people who send us, to all of us, either a thank you email, an inspiration, points, whatever, that they were satisfied with our work delivery. And so we are all on the call, plus these guests, which means my peers hear about my success from that person, and vice versa. I hear about my peers' success from those people. And the emotion that it creates inside of you is like, oh my God, I just feel so good that I just want to keep working, keep doing this, because it has a meaning, it has a value, and it's amazing. And not only it inspired us, but actually it inspired those guests that came to our call, that they've started doing this in their own team, because it's amazing. And so that's another thing. We also have once a month team meeting, and again, we are global team, so people who are listening to us, time zones. So we all agreed in our team that, not me in Europe, because I am in the best time zone ever, but people as far as Santa Clara up to Singapore agreed to sacrifice once a month their time, meaning our colleague in Santa Clara has 6 a.m. to go on the call, and the person in Singapore has like 10 or 11 p.m. And then they are 1 hour on the call. So once a month, we agreed that that's the sacrifice we'll do. And we have monthly meeting as well. And that all of this helps. And then we also have a channel where we have like a couple of channels through which we chat. And we have like a fun fact channel just to keep the spirits up and put things there. So all of these help, these bits and pieces help the team not to forget we have a newcomer, or that person feels part of the team, is valued, etc.
That reminds me that when I was responsible for training new junior leaders, like people who were actually transferring for a normal employee to a junior leader, and there were 3 of us having this responsibility, and 2 of them were in Europe, including me, and 1 was in Brazil, but we never could cover AP, so Asia Pacific. And this is when we started to do virtual training for these people, and we built a really, really detailed schedule that actually spanned across maybe 6 months. And we trained them according to what we thought was necessary for this person to become a junior leader. And actually, after some time of getting these kind of new junior leaders, we realized we were starting to get feedback. Oh my God, it's too long. Not every specific training, but the whole schedule spends really, it's too long. So I think it's also important to get feedback from the newcomers. Actually, from newcomers, you will sometimes get the best feedback because they don't have like this skewed view on how things could work or should work. So I think it's really great to get feedback from newcomers, and definitely should be done for their sake as well, not just for your sake.
And when you worked with these leaders across the globe and they had this, did you observe that after those 6 months or after some time, they became more as a team connected to each other, or how did you observe the success?
Okay, the success. I think honestly depended on the person. As Kat said, not everybody is like willing to sacrifice that time that is required when you work across time zones. So there are many people. I think you need to be aware that this is something necessary when you work in a global team. And maybe someone who is hiring, I wasn't the one doing the interview with them, but I think they should make it very clear, those people who hire people work in a global team, they should make it very clear that you need to be able to sacrifice this time that is not in your standard working from 9 to 5 window. So I think setting expectations when you hire this way and when you hire for a global team, it's very important. And I think I still didn't answer your question. So what is the success? Depends on the person, and definitely the training helped. It's not just in a way that they were more ready to work globally, but also like when you think how big of a leap you must make from being like the starting employee to become a junior leader, that's a lot of knowledge. Like when we did the half-year schedule, we were thinking like this is appropriate. Like you will still learn even after 2 years, you will still learn new things. But we're trying to like speed it up and then speed it up even further after we got the feedback. So there definitely was success even in terms of like doing their daily job. So we could actually, you could see that understanding because we had like weekly or bi-weekly meetings. So we built that community on those meetings, and you could see like people were trained compared to those who were not before we started the program. It was a huge difference. And then based on the feedback, we even improved it even more.
And I also
no.
Hold on. I remember also when Baruch was training, and to make it more fun and really show that we are human beings, what I used to do is like I suddenly went behind Baruch and went into the camera area, and I started waving to people like, hey, how are you? And they were like, oh my God, who is this crazy girl? But these fun parts, it just created. And then when more and more people get to know me, they were like, oh, get hi. And it literally destroyed the borders, the ocean between us, that like, oh my God, that's the friend somewhere in Slovakia. Oh, that's the friend somewhere in Sao Paulo in Brazil. Just because of, you just show your humanity or personality, something that you all like.
And I have one follow-up question on this, because you both were experiencing that you've met those people you've been working for years virtually. And you Kat, you're more of an extrovert, while Baruch, you're more of an introvert. So what's your perspective when you've met those people in face-to-face version instead of virtual ones? What was the awkwardness there for you?
Okay, so for me, an extrovert, it's easy because it's very natural for me to meet people. It's more, I actually tend to put the other people into awkward situation, because me being out there, as soon as I see the person, I hug them because it's like so natural to me, and even me and Baruch. So let me just give you example, me and Baruch. Okay, so she's an introvert. We know each other for a very long time. I take her, like me and my husband call her our daughter, etc. And every time when she's supposed to come, I tell her, get mentally ready. I'm going to hug you and hold you in a hug for a couple of minutes. And it's literally as soon as I see her and I hug her and I hold her like this, and I can feel that her body is like super, stiff. Like, okay, I need to breathe. Katka is just hugging me. I need to breathe. And I'm like happy. And Baruch is like, finished? And I'm like, okay, now I'm finished. And then Baruch's like, okay, now give me my personal space back. But I don't feel awkward. I feel happy. But of course, if it would be someone total stranger, I wouldn't do it, right? But if it's someone, and I tell them upfront, like, can I hug you? Because I feel like so connected to you. It's just my nature. And if they say yes, then I'll give them a hug, etc. But if they say, and I can see it on their face, like, oh, that's weird. Okay, then I just shake a hand, or you'll just, say hello, etc.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine you hugging Japanese person. They are so like me, all of them.
I never.
we
I
have
met a Japanese person? I don't know.
I don't think so.
But when we were in China, and I take Grace or Lisa, right? So Lisa is like me, extrovert. So that was like, oh my God, come to my embrace. And we were hugging each other. But Grace is different. And Grace was more hesitant, but I still hugged her. And I felt like, girl, we're just connected. But she had the same reaction like you, but it was like very stiff and like, okay. I need to breathe. But it's like, if you get to know each other and you already know each other, and you set up the expectation, like I set up expectation to Baruch, I am going to hug you, be prepared. And so she has enough time to mentally prepare it. That's the expectation. I'll still do it. Maybe she doesn't like it, but I'll still do it.
I actually like that you do it. It's like, yeah, it's like you keep true to yourself. And yeah, actually, if you're interested about cultures, you can watch our other video, right? About cultures.
Correct. But it's the same, like in Slovakia, we have this thing that girls or guy kiss each other on the cheek. But there are people that I literally don't want to do it. It's like, I don't even want to go cool. No, I don't want to give you French kiss, Clash. It's like, I don't even want to give you a handshake. It's like, that's how I'm hesitant. And that's why I actually prefer now the COVID situation, because I don't need to give any excuse. It's just like 2 meters distance. Hi, how are you? Of course, for people that I miss so much and I want to hug them, I miss that because I want to hug them. But the other part is solved for me. So
yeah, I still want to hear Baruch. So what was your experience when you've met those people from virtual world, and how did it move your relationship with them?
Actually, it depends on the culture. For example, when I met with Brazilians or Argentinians, they are naturally so warm-hearted and so welcoming, and they were all like, "Oh, Baruch, finally we meet you!" Like even people that I don't know, they were like, "Oh, Baruch, like who are you?" And those people knew me from those calls because sometimes they were like backups for those new junior leaders. And we recorded all those virtual meetings, those online meetings, and they were actually watching those backups for those junior leaders, and they were like, "Oh, hey, Baruch," and they were doing the same thing as you, Kat. Sometimes, like those other people, they were just like going,
to hug you.
the corridor and like seeing that we have a meeting online, and that's why they knew me. And I always got surprised, like people I never met, people I don't know name of, they knew my name when I came there in person. So that was Argentina and Brazil. They were very like, I felt like we are friends for years. And that was amazing experience. And for example, China, like okay, China, it was similar feeling, although like, Chinese people don't hug as much like in the work environment. And sometimes, I mean, this is another thing that is for culture difference. Like many times when you see that picture online, how the person looks, like for Chinese people, it's like sometimes very, very different. They have very, very different picture of themselves compared to what they actually look like, because China is very values very much beauty. So if you can look more beautiful using some app that beautifies you completely, changes your shape of the face completely, that's okay for them. But usually then you have trouble recognizing those people. And that happened to me quite a lot, that was opposite situation to Brazil and Argentina, that I came there and I didn't even realize those people that I work with, if they don't turn on the camera on the meeting. This is why Kat says in our virtual meeting video that turn on your camera, because if you just need to go off the picture, how the person looks, sometimes it's very, very different. So for me, when I met those people, it was, if I didn't see them on camera, it was like, who are you? And I worked with them like half a year or something like that. But eventually, I think that training and that meetings were so essential to help to build that relationship, that when I came, it never, even if I didn't know that person's face, I still felt connection, right? So it's very important to build it. Doesn't matter if it's through group chats, as Kat said, or some meetings or some other ways. Sending pictures of each other from like what you do outside of working hours doesn't really matter. So I think it's very important to build that connection.
But Colette, you play D&D, and previously you played it 3 years or how many years in a beautiful place, but you keep going playing it online because it's all about imagination. You because it's about the stories you guys share and imagine things, etc. But you would miss that, and that you guys keep playing it. It's just you turn it into virtual.
I see that a bit different because we've started face to face, and we are longing to meet again, to play it again face to face. So in order not to stop playing totally, we found a way how to do it. So it's a replacement for it. It wasn't like we started virtually and we want to meet face to face or something like that. I can't even imagine that a new player who we don't know would join us right now. Like it would be really awkward because there is 3 years story behind us, 5 years story behind us, whatever the time was. That's actually a pretty long time. and I wouldn't be able to like, okay, so hey, here is Peter, a random guy, my friend, you have never seen him before, and starting today he will play with you on a weekly basis, tensions train. Like, what an awful world. But if it would be face to face, I think it would be much easier, like, okay, so there he is standing, maybe he would first come and observe first few sessions and then he would join this. That would be much easier, I guess.
Let me close it with these words. That because it was really beautiful. So me being in China, Rodrigo being in China, so that's our Brazilian friend, and we were telling to one of the managers, I was telling them the story that the guys in Bratislava, are having a competition who can best imitate our center lead voice. And when I was sharing this, and they were testing it on other Slovak managers in center lead's voice, whether it works, Rodrigo started laughing and he said, "You can't be serious, Kat." I'm like, "Yeah, and there are 5 like really good at it, etc." That's what the guys in Brasilia are doing as well, and are testing it on the managers in Brasilia as well. And this is where you have that connection that we are all human beings. We have same ideas. But also the funniest was when Rodrigo said, if anyone will try to point it out that I said those words, I will deny it and I will say I never ever said those words. So it was really funny. But that just shows you that we are funny spirits as human beings, and the connection brings you that you will find those side of those people as well, and that what connects you. You will hear us next week. Bye, guys. Annyeong.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Just so you know, this podcast represents our own opinions, experience, and our own ideas. We do not represent any official statement from our employers, and this is not their official channel representing the company.